Oh, hi everyone. Hi. I have, okay, well, intro can wait, I understand, boy more important. Oh, boy heard the call. He heard the call. Hello. Hello, sir, the people want you. Your public needs you, Rat. Come here. You wanna hop up into my lap? Huh? Come on. Come on. Or I'll scoop ya. You've been scooped now. There's my lad. Alright, my lovelies. So you might notice that I sound a little different today. And that's because of fun new mic. Have you ever heard of such a thing? Have you ever witnessed such a concept? That's true, I have a brand new microphone. A brand new Michael phone. Oh, my posture's perfect, Para. I just started stream. Haven't had enough time to get shrimped up yet. So I have this brand spanking new 3DO, which I intend to use for ASMR streams and ASMR videos in the future. But for today, I figured we could probably squeeze in a proper request, you know? But I was thinking today we might start just by experimenting with some of my personal favorite ASMR triggers using the new mic, okay? And just having a little yap while we do so. Are you able to change the ears on the 3DO? So they are attached to the mic. So I'm not, if you're thinking of putting slime directly onto it, that might be a bad idea. But first off, and I have the mic kind of sitting in front, I can pick it up right now. I can just scoop you all. Thinking of changing the human ears for horse ears? Ah. And now if I just tilt the, I'm right here. I've moved to a specific side of you without moving at all because I've just scooped up the mic. And then I do it the other way and I'm in this ear now. And I'm just speaking very gently to you and I hope I sound decent. I spent a good while today fiddling with settings, trying to make everything work right. And I think I've managed it. I want to show you something really especially fun. If I just cup the ears like this. You can get some really interesting sounds there. Oop, oop. Don't want to peek the mic. I want to be very careful when I'm doing this, but I like ear cupping sounds quite a bit. And I can do it properly now. It's pretty nice though, right? Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff there. I'm gonna be recording an audio properly after stream today. It's looking like, let me double check the Patreon real quick. It's unfortunate. Feels like someone's touching your ears. Yeah, that's the power of the 3DO. I know in the Discord server when the poll went up, there were some folks who were very vocal about wanting the Miyabi audio to win. But it looks like after stream today, I'm gonna have to be a lazy cat girl Looks like that's what's happening. Do y'all want to hear the sound that got me demonetized and community guideline striked on YouTube? By the way, do you want to hear the sound that got me a community guideline strike? You're gonna be really disappointed in what it was. It was me going like a deep, heavy sigh, followed by this. This is what sex sounds like, right? AIs, they think keyboards are too sexy. What I think it was, is my heavy sigh followed by this rhythmic tapping. The AI got very confused and was like, "Is that the schlopping of you doing something profane? Is that the schlick schlopping of something truly disgusting?" No, it's a keyboard. Well, technically it's a fighting game button controller, like. For supposedly being the future, AI is dumb. That's correct. Because it's not good. It's not good. It's not helpful. Dahlia. Well, alright then. I guess it's time for the first one with the new mic. Good girl, Dahlia. Very good girl. What do you think? What do you think? Good girl on the new mic? Pretty quality stuff, huh? Now, here's one thing that I'm very invested in. What happens if I pop out the Mimikaki? What happens if I pop out the Mimikaki and give it a go? Because I have my beautiful, lovely ear picks. And I want to see how they sound when you actually have an ear for me to clean. Alright, my lovelies. So if I just stick the fuzzy end right in there, what do we think? If I rub it along the edge of the ear, there's much I could do. I have many options. Most of which are sticking an ear pick in your ear in various spots. Now bear in mind, I can't very well hear exactly what's going on, what you're all hearing right now. So do let me know what you think. I did a couple test triggers before I started stream. It sounds nice. Alright, so this is the fuzzy end of the ear pick specifically. Now, what happens if I use Mimi cocky is what you get on HRT. It's true. It's true. There's a saying among trans girls on HRT, alright? And that saying is use it or lose it. And that is an objectively true fact. It will happen. Alright, so I'm using my little scraper end now. I'm not rubbing it directly on the mic yet. Just on the ear around the mic. Now, if I do rub it directly on the mic, can't hear on ear around? Okay. And how does it sound when I rub it direct on the mic? First time catching Faye live. It's a bit quiet. I just don't want to go too hard when I'm doing stuff directly on the mic, you know? Okay. We're gonna have to experiment more. I think for the ear pick, I'll probably want to try doing it myself, you know? And listening to what it sounds like personally. If I just stick my finger in there. If I just stick my whole thumb in your ear. This mic is so weird. It's so weird to just look at it in my house. It's so shaped, you know? The human ear is literally so ear. It is. Some people go way too hard on the ear cleaning and it just sounds like aggressive cotton. I mean, sometimes the more intense stuff can work. It's really variable from person to person in my experience, you know? Alright, my lovelies. So this is me using a little brush just on my finger near the mic. But you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try and brush the mic directly. I still, fun fact, still don't have a proper stand for this new mic yet. I have kind of a jank setup today. But that's okay. Sometimes you gotta embrace a little jank. This is me brushing the mic directly. Hi, Communicoid girl. Hello, hello, welcome in. The directionality and sense of space is neat. It really is. That's what makes the 3DO so fucking cool, right? Like, the fact that I can just start going like with my fingers. It's pretty neat. And it's like the Blue Yeti had some of that, but nowhere nearly as precise. And I noticed one side of the 3DO, or one side of the Yeti was always more sensitive than the other, which made it kind of a pain to work with. You know what I have right now? I have a bottled iced coffee. Hi, Nebba. We're experimenting with a new mic today. My 3DO is finally here and set up. You know, because I mentioned that I have this bottle of iced coffee because I'm thinking liquid sounds of all kinds can be very interesting. What if I just shaked up the bottle a little bit? Ooh, or I just remembered I had this. This is my little spray bottle of water. Now, you might ask yourself, why does Faye have a spray bottle full of water? Because I didn't initially get it for ASMR reasons. Not for the cat. Not for the cat. Not for the cat. I expected that guess. Spray bottle is not for the cat. And not for plants either. It was for a living thing that was not a cat or a plant. Not for me or my partner, no. I got this spray bottle when I had a lizard. I miss him very much. He's my sweet little guy. But he was a crested gecko named Norbert. Just called him Bert. And he was a little guy who needed to hydrate every now and then, right? And a water dish, the traditional water dish, does not work super great for a cresty because in the wild, crested geckos get their hydration by licking dew and condensation from leaves. That's how they would get their hydration, broadly speaking. And so when you're feeding when you're feeding and watering a crusty, you don't generally want to do a water dish. You just want to spritz their tank once or twice a day. It is pretty cool. Fortunately, he did pass. It was old age, so he lived a good lizardy life. You know what this is? This is my gizmo. I'm cranking my gizmo again. But yeah, that spray bottle was for him. My doohickey. It's literally my doohickey. So, I don't know if you ever have this thing, chat, but it's a thing that I run into, right? where I will sometimes have a hard time sticking to one creative thing. And I think that might be part of why I've been... We doing hickeys now? Take me out to dinner first. For me, I need to have at least 2 things going, right? And I think that might be part of why I've been struggling with my fic. Because I've been just trying to do just that, right? And like when I wrote Scale of Sapphire, my big story, 1,000 words a week until I wrote a 400-page novel. I wasn't just writing Scale of Sapphire. During the time I wrote Scale of Sapphire, I wrote as well The Secret Menu, I wrote A Grossa Threnakie, I wrote several writing layer stories, I wrote An Exercise in Trust. And so when I started to feel the creative burnout on Scale of Sapphire, when I started to lose motivation, lose focus, I would work on another project, right? And I don't have that with my story right now. And it's just hard, it's been hard for me to get back into writing generally because of how much of my creative time and energy is spent on the channel, right? And so I've just been struggling to find the motivation to write. And so I think, because I've had this idea for a trans feminist Nikke Goddess of Victory fic. It's been bubbling in my head for a while, okay? And so I think I might start on that soon, just so that I have something to kind of bounce back and forward off of, you know? The fic is still happening. I wrote a little bit more for it last night, another couple hundred words. I remember that discussion. Yeah, I've given a lot more like serious thought into exactly what specific type of story I'd want to tell if I were to do that Nikke fic. Give me one moment. If I open this up. What's happened so far? We're testing new ASMR triggers and yapping. That's about it, boss. So I'm actually gonna, before I get too sidetracked with the Nikke fic, yapping, why not open up a book? And this chapter is incomplete, but it is part way done. I'm planning on each chapter of this story being around 2,000 words. And it's currently at 1400. But I think I might have read the initial part of this before. I'm not 100%, but I feel like why not do some page turning? And it's a decent amount of words. 2,000 words is anywhere from like 7 to 10 pages generally. But like I gotta have a second project because this is gonna be a 22 chapter story, and at 22 chapters, 2,000 words per chapter, that's gonna average out to being something around 44,000 words. Which is not like a full novel, but it's not nothing either. So how about we test some page turning ASMR? As I read what currently exists of chapter 3. Shall I? We're going to have to speak with the director, you know. I was sitting on the edge of the bed. Cafe was sitting beside me, trying valiantly to tame the mess of my hair. You won't be able to keep renting your apartment for much longer without your job as a trainer, right? But I can't just sneak you into the dorms. I'll need a solution, Nishida. Here now, I muttered under my breath. What? For those who haven't been present for the previous 2 chapters, at this point in the story, our main character, who was Manhattan Cafe's former trainer, has turned into an Uma Musume, now by the name of Hirano Diamore. My name. She paused her brushing, and I turned to meet her gaze. It just came to me when I looked in the mirror. For now, at least. While I'm like this, my name is Hirano Diamore. Hello, Glass. The ghost of a smile crossed her face. It's pretty. Suits you. She brandished the brush again. Now turn around. I'm not done. I'll have a little sip of water real quick, y'all. Wow. There we go. She finished brushing my hair in silence, gently working out the knots and tangles in my egregiously long hair. I remember that once, near the end of her time in the Twinkle series, she told me she felt so very close to her friend, but she couldn't see her anymore. It was around that time she realized she wanted to lead her fellow Umas forward, to give advice when asked, or just a cozy, quiet place to drink coffee in good company. How long is egregiously long? Past her butt. This gentle, steadying presence. It made me realize why her classmates kept coming back. I felt safe, cared for, and seen. I was scared at the conversation that was coming later today, but I knew it was necessary, and I knew that Cafe had my back. She believed things would work out, and I trusted her. So I trusted that things would work out too. Good enough. She stowed the brush, packing her remaining belongings quickly. She handed me a pair of running shoes and started putting on her own pair as well. We have a train to catch. Are you ready to go? I held the shoes limply in my hands. They were quality shoes, made for an Uma, metal cleats already affixed to the bottom. A pair like this, with those cleats, would easily cost $100 or more. Cafe, I can't. This is too much. Pay me back later. Just put them on. I put on the shoes. Somehow they fit perfectly. Snug but not tight, comfortable and practical. I stood and walked. Keep your tenses consistent, Faye. You're writing in past tense, my love. It's a good editing pass. I stood and walked a few laps around the room, feeling how the balls of my feet got just that tiny bit of extra traction in the carpet. My mind drifted. And I found myself wondering how it would feel on turf or dirt. How it would feel to run. Here's a piece of writing advice for you. If you're gonna do an editing pass yourself, if you're, self-publishing like I do, read your stories aloud. When you've written something, read it aloud. Because when you read it word for word aloud, you'll start to really pick up on those bits that feel unnatural or stilted or clunky to say. Cafe must have noticed the look in my eye. She'd already opened the door. I'll go check out. You go on ahead. See you at the station. A part of me wanted to protest. She'd already done so much for me. The least I could do is stay here for a few moments so we could run to the station together. A part of me wanted to. But it was... I completely just switched tenses for the entire, second part of the chapter, apparently. One that was shrinking every second. The sun was warm. The breeze was cool and refreshing. And something fundamental deep inside of me just wanted to go. This is why we proofread, my loves. Before I could even think to say, see you later, my legs had carried me to the road. I took a few seconds to breathe, to orient myself, to prepare. And then I started running. My pace was slow at first. I was still getting used to this new body, these new proportions. I had a tail now. My balance was different. Human running form and Uma running form are not the same. But as I felt the wind on my face, as I watched the concrete of the Uma lane begin to blur underneath me, all that restraint started to slip away. The metal cleats in question, Neutronium, interestingly enough, are just straight up horseshoes. The horse girls in Uma Musume naturally run on their toes, and so the toes of their running shoes have horseshoes on them. That's how they justify the existence of horseshoes in this world. Here's a fun fact for you. So when they refer to their metal cleats, they're just straight up talking about horseshoes. Faster. I wanted to run faster. It's harder to see in the light. But she was there. Cafe's friend was running ahead of me. She wanted me to chase her, to catch her. My eyes glued themselves to her back. Faster. Faster. I pass one car, then another. My hair whips around behind me. I lean forward and my tail extends out. My cleats dig into the pavement as I push and push and push and push. I arrive at the station. I jog to a stop. Cafe's friend rounds a corner and disappears. I start panting. My legs were shaking. I felt dizzy. That speed, it was intoxicating, enthralling, consuming. But I was feeling the consequences now. I should have paced myself. It was a 3-kilometer run to the station, and I just tried to sprint the whole thing. I hadn't even come close to catching her. At some point, Cafe arrived. She shepherded me onto the train. She put a water bottle in my hands, and I guess at some point I drank it. We arrived in Tokyo, and I felt like myself again. Mostly. We got out of the train, left the station, and stopped on the sidewalk. I thought. She trailed off awkwardly. Since you were a trainer before, I thought you would. A lot of young Umas wear themselves out pretty bad because they don't know their limits. I thought since you were a trainer, I wouldn't have to worry about that. Sorry. It's okay, Cafe. I was just a little tired, that's all. Sorry for making you worry. She gave me a stern look. You looked like you were about to pass out when I got there. She sighed heavily. Just match my pace, okay? And listen to your body. The run to Trayson was much more restrained. It was still exhilarating, still enjoyable, and definitely still well beyond what a human would be capable of, but Cafe was clearly holding back for my sake. The pace was carefully managed, and she made a point to look back and check on me every now and then. Eventually, we arrived at the school gates. Well, did you get those? Did you get those photos printed, Bird Girl? Trainer to trainee is pretty peem, actually. It is. It objectively is. I like the idea of this character going from Cafe's trainer, who is a very capable trainer, but also clearly lacking certain aspects of emotional development because of unresolved eggness, now becoming an Uma and experiencing this whole thing from a new perspective and getting the chance to look up to the one that she was a trainee of, both in terms of experience and actual running and in terms of personal development and growth as an individual. Agnes Tachyon. That's why she's always force-femming people. It's literally in her name. Eventually we arrived at the school gates. Cafe, you're back. My ear twitched at Tazana's warm words. She was standing by the school gates, like every morning, greeting the students as they arrived. I hope that whatever it is you had to rush off to do last night worked out well. She smiled, but still looked a little worried. Cafe had been missing all last night, after all. Her attention shifted, and she locked eyes with me before glancing down at her clipboard for just a moment. I take it you're one of Cafe's friends? Can I ask what brings you to campus today? Anxiety began to creep in, and I could feel my ears beginning to pin themselves back, but I forced the feeling down. It's fine. It's just Tazana. We're co-workers, or we were. Or we used to be, at least. The point is that I know her, and I trust her. This feels like Faye ASMR, but she's trying not to laugh at chat challenge. I'm just reading. I'm just reading my own book. I'm hardly looking at chat right now, I'm not gonna lie. Hirano. My name is Hirano Diamore, and I was wondering if I could arrange an appointment with the director. Please and thank you. Good enough. Cafe stepped forward, subtly positioning herself between me and Tazana. I don't even know if she realized she was doing it. I know it's unconventional, but Hirano was hoping she might be allowed a late enrollment. Her physical conditioning and experience might be a bit behind, but I can personally vouch for her familiarity with the academics and theory of racing. Does this have something to do with where you were last night, Cafe? She gave her a pointed look, but didn't actually wait for an answer. I can't make any promises. Tokyo Tracing Academy has a fairly rigorous selection process, and enrolling in the middle of the school year isn't typically done, but you both look exhausted. I will get you a meeting, alright? And Miss Hirano? My ears perked up at my name. Tell me honestly, do you have a safe place to stay? Wait, what? That's... I promise I won't judge you. I promise this won't change how I see you, but you understand how this looks, right? Cafe runs off and disappears for a day, and then comes back with a clearly anxious Uma in tow. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but if I'm not, then I want to promise you that no matter how this meeting turns out, you will be taken care of, alright? Director Akikawa, Assembly Rudolph, myself, all the trainers here, we all chose to be here because we want to see Umas thrive. No matter what, you will be okay. I promise. And that's the end of what's written so far. Now this is a fantasy. Hey, it's a world we can make real. Maybe not the Uma part. That is a part that we collectively can make real, if not for ourselves, then for those who come after. That's what I believe. Now, what I have planned for the remainder of this chapter is that Hirano is going to break into tears, as she often does. She's a very emotional girl who is only finally starting to process her emotions. And then we're going to eventually, once the scene kind of resolves, cut to a meeting with Director Akikawa, Assembly Rudolph, and our two main characters at this point. wherein it's going to come to light that Hirano is Cafe's former trainer, and they'll work something out and she'll enroll in the school. That's the plan. Is Hirano D'Amour based off of a real racehorse? Yes. Yes, she is. So the real Hirano D'Amour is one of Manhattan Cafe's kids. I have two major Umas in this story. Well, there are a couple. One actually, when I started writing it, had not been released, had not been announced. And then I like started outlining this story, and I was making my outline. One of the main rival characters for Hirano is let's see, where is she? Victoire Pisa, okay? Who the real Hirano D'Amour raced several times and lost to several times. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know, Uma Musume, the game, does not have Victoire Pisa, Hirano D'Amour, or the briefly mentioned Cinnamon Stick. Cinnamon Stick, by the way, is the real Manhattan Cafe's grandkid, fun fact. And so in this story is actually Hirano D'Amour's niece. Just kind of a fun thing. But the thing is, I started writing the story. Victoire Pisa had not been announced, had not been planned. And then, like, 2 days after I started outlining it, the Japanese announced, hey, we're getting Victoire Pisa. And I'm like, shit. God, I had my own plan for how I wanted Victoire Pisa to be characterized, but now there's an official Victoire Pisa that exists. That's kind of honestly part of what ran me out of steam, is I now have to completely rewrite how I'm handling Victoire Pisa to be in line with original Uma. And I'm now also terrified that they're going to add Hirano D'Amour. I chose Hirano D'Amour because I thought this is a cool racehorse that isn't in the game. So yeah, we're gonna see how that, like, I gotta tweak some stuff. It'll be fine. But Hirano D'Amour is a really cool racehorse who quite notably raced a bunch and performed very well, right? So Hirano D'Amour, child of Manhattan Cafe, who was a pretty capable racer, right? She took, well, he, in the case of the real horse, took second in his debut, and then first in the very next race after that. And then pretty consistently placed top 3 in a lot of races, right? It was, okay, lost your debut, but then wins the next race after that. Places first in the Wakagoma Stakes, which is an open race, placed second in the Wakaba Stakes, performed like well enough, secured a place in the Satsuki show, and took second. Alright? Hirano D'Amour, first G1 race, the Satsuki show. Which is one of the 3 races of the Japanese Triple Crown. And took second. was the 6th favorite in the Satsuki show, took 2nd. Very solid performance, right? 2nd race in the Japanese Triple Crown is the Tokyo Yushin. 3rd favorite to win that race, took 9th. Woof. And this is the start of Hirano Diamore consistently eating shit in G1 races. Sapporo Kinen G2 race took 4th. Okay, that's not nothing. Kikasho, which is the race that Manhattan Cafe won of the Japanese Triple Crown races, right? Cafe won the Kikasho. It's a long distance race, which is what Cafe was good at. Hirano Diamore, 3rd favorite to win, 7th. So, the plan with where I'm taking this story is that Hirano is going to want to pursue the Triple Crown like her trainee did, and it's going to go poorly. She's going to consistently lose all of those races, and in fact, not win any of her graded races for most of the story. First G3 takes 4th. First G1, 2nd. Next G1, 9th. Next G2, 4th. G1, 7th. G3, 2nd. G2, 2nd. G2, 3rd. Over and over and over again. It's a nice nature situation, you see? But then we're gonna delve into the angst of it all until we reach a specific moment where, you know, the angst, Victor Pisa left to run in the Prix de l'Arc, and it went poorly, and kind of through Victor Pisa's character development, Hirano Diamore will learn some things about what it means for her to run. She's going to be given the chance to go back to being a human, to go back to her life as a trainer when she's at this low point. And she's gonna angst about it for a little bit. And then she's going to decide that she wants to keep being an Uma and she wants to keep running. And that's when she wins a G2. She wins her first graded race, the Osaka High. And then we push that into what was the real Hirano Diamore's first and only G1 win, the Spring Tenno Show. And that's the race that we're going to end the story on. And so yeah, that's the overall plan, and I think it's going to be really fun. I just need to actually put words to paper. So oh, I am sorry for that little sound. Accidentally dropped something on my desk. But I'm taking a little break from working on that story, I think. Because again, I think I do better when... Hello! Hi, Weeto? Welcome in. I love messing with this chain whip on mic. It makes such a nice sound. But I've talked about how I wanted... yeah, it's a chain whip. It was a gift from my father. It's actually meant to be concealed. I can't take it outside. I can't take it places because it is a concealed weapon. But it's this beautiful chain whip. It's about 4 feet long. Not really like massive, but one end of it has... My dad gave me a chain whip, he also gave me a sword, yes. And a bunch of throwing knives. Those were all presents from him. But this chain whip, it's designed to look like a serpentine dragon, so one end of it has a spiked dragon head, which is, you know, meant to... If you hit someone with it, it would hurt them very badly. And the mouth of the dragon is holding a ring that clasps into the tail on the other end. And so what you do is you wrap it around your wrist as a super metal as hell chain bracelet. Do you ever consider that your dad wants you to be an assassin? You know, the thought has crossed my mind. The truth is, though, that he wanted me to follow in his footsteps as a circus performer, which I did do for a while. Talked about this on stream a couple times, but the chain whip, admittedly, this specifically, and the sword were just for fun, because he likes collecting various melee weapons of all kinds, and he knows that I like them too, as a sword lesbian. So he gave me this beautiful short sword, which it has a pretty nice scabbard, and the scabbard itself has a strap pocket thing attached to it that fits 3 small throwing knives as well. What kind of sword? Honestly, a pretty shitty one. It's more decorative than anything. It has lots of pretty patterns along the blade and stuff. But I like it. Let's see, did a Ralph Smooch get redeemed? Yeah. Oh, he's so cozy in him bed though. He's so cozy in him baby bed. Ralph, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Scooping up your whole bed. There we go. His bed is now in my lap. Hey, bud. Oh, yeah. Don't like to be in bed in my lap? That's fair. This new mic can hear your chair squeak. It's a pretty new chair, I admit. New ASMR trigger unlocked, for real? Is this doing it for you? It is a very squeaky chair, it is. So, I wanna yap about my idea for a Nikkei fanfic, right? So while I do that, I'm gonna grab my good old rubber gloves. Chair squeaks are the bane of my audio recordings too. Yeah, I've always stayed very still when I'm doing proper recordings. There we go, we got the rubber gloves. We got the rubber gloves on, baby. There we go. So, here's the plan. Here's what I've been thinking. Okay, I've talked at length before about the idea that Nikke would be peak fiction if it had even a drop of feminism in it. Okay? I believe that very strongly. I think that Nikke... Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I got surprised and then I snapped a plastic thing. So, Nikke already is, like, a good story. But it refuses to look at the nature of the world that it's built. And so I have an idea for a sort of non-linear story, okay? Where we start with a Nikke who is in tremendous amounts of pain and doesn't really know who she is or where she is or what is going on. She has snippets, but none of them make any sense. What she does know is that she is being dragged out of a pool of black ooze by a group of other Nikkes. What she does know is that she keeps vomiting this horrible black bile that seems to be more of the ooze that she got dragged out of. What she does know is that her commander, if she ever had one, is nowhere to be seen. Hashtag her goop. Now, anyone who knows Nikke will probably know what that goop is. It is what's known in the world of Nikke as dark matter. Distinct from what actual dark matter is. It's a swarm of nanomachines, essentially, that spawn from the blood of the Rapture Queen. Raptures being the evil robots that took over the planet and destroyed humanity. The Rapture Queen being the big bad. There are patches of her blood left on the world. And historically, those who have, Nikkes who have come in contact with it, it doesn't usually end well. Sometimes it can be pretty much completely harmless. Sometimes it will just straight up kill you immediately. And sometimes, very rarely, it will infect a Nikke, and their body will start producing it naturally. And they will become what is known in Nikke as a heretic, which is supposed to mean any Nikke that works for the Raptures instead of humanity. But in practice, when it comes to those who have been exposed to dark matter, is just A Nikke with a bit of rapture tech in her, who is no longer beholden to her commander and the normal human command structure. So our girl's got some dark matter in her. I almost said black matter. That's entirely different. It's not a thing that exists in Nikke. Our girl's got some black ooze in her. She's vomiting it up. It's, you know. A Nikke with the power to choose? Yeah. And that most people are too afraid of to talk to and take seriously. That's the thing that happened with the 4 canonical Nikke in the world of Nikke who came into contact with dark matter. They became a group of heretics known as the 4 Beasts. And their leader, Leviathan, Levi, is someone who, after she became infected with dark matter, wanted to go home. She wanted to go back to the Ark, to keep working with her squad, to stay with her friends and her people and the ones that she cared about. But that people would look at and assume she is going to try and kill them. That she was just a rapture, just a monster, just corrupted. And they would threaten her, they would try to kill her, and so eventually she decided, well, if that's how you're going to see me, that's what I'll be. And so the story, as it plays out, is going to essentially be this Nikke slowly piecing together her memories as she is incarcerated and interrogated. The majority of that interrogation is going to be at the hands of the character Jin, who I'm not overly fond of. Jin is one of the 2 highest up members of an organization in-game called Masilis. Masilis manufactures Nikkes. And they were in dire straits financially recently, and so they've started turning to more and more unscrupulous means of turning a profit. And Jen has become more and more enthusiastic about performing genuinely heinous experiments on the Nikkes under her control. All for the sake of advancement and also her own personal amusement and interest. Now here's the thing that gets me, okay? And here's where the basis of the story comes from, what we eventually learn about this Nikke and her past. What she eventually comes to realize about herself is that she was, in fact, in the past, an employee of Masilis. She was at one point a human man, big air quotes on that, who worked at Masilis, was a researcher there, whose role specifically was to be an interim temporary commander for new experimental Nikkei and modifications that are performed. And who eventually got the chance to meet with Jian and propose a research idea that had been bubbling around in her head for a long time. And the idea, okay, hear me out, her idea was, what if it was in fact possible for a man, again air quotes on that, to become a Nikkei? Now, here's a pop quiz. Here's a pop quiz for you. Based on what I've just told you about these characters, about what Jian is like, what do you think her response was when pitched with the idea of, I have an idea that might allow men to be made into Nikkeis? Because I have my own read of her character. Her response was, we're not doing that. Her response was, I am not going to let that happen. I'm not going to do that. Her response was, in fact, to fire the main character outright. Because when the main character talked about how the fact that the only thing one needs to make a Nikkei is the brain. The only thing one needs is the brain. It's just nymph is injected into the brain. The body around it is constructed from godesium. They don't need the actual, it gets completely reconstructed as part of the process. And so, when you look at the question of why specifically is it that only women under the age of 25 can become Nikkeis, if you actually look at the science of it, the only possible reason that could exist is hormone levels in the brain having some bearing on survivability. Meaning that if you just estrogenized the brain prior to injecting nymph into it, you could probably make a Nikkei. From anyone. And when this idea is pitched, Jian says, essentially, did you seriously think that I, of all people, had never considered that possibility? Is stream 18+? I prefer my audience to be. I'm not doing anything particularly smutty, but I talk about sexual stuff on occasion. What is this conversation about? About a Nikkei fanfic I'm planning on writing. And so, Jian says that, you know, of course I've considered this, and I do, in fact, have an academic interest in it. I would be very interested in seeing what kind of Nikkei would result from someone assigned male being made into a Nikkei. However, what do you think will happen if male Nikkeis exist? If there are Nikkeis that are men? Suddenly, they'll be viewed less as objects than they were before. Not procreation, no. If there are Nikkeis that are men, if that existed, then suddenly the central government and people in general, because this is an incredibly toxic and patriarchal society, would immediately become much more invested in the concept of Nikke having rights. And to Jen, that's the worst possible outcome. She wants to keep playing toys with them. She wants to keep doing her fucked up experiments. So of course she's not going to let that happen, and she's going to do what she can to prevent our main character from having the resources required to make that experiment happen. I'm envisioning Jen as a sort of turfy character in particular. She's a turfy character who, within the context of story, we're going to be portraying Nikkeis as these sort of trans-misogynized characters, which they are. When you look at what they are in the story, they're women that it's socially acceptable to treat like garbage. They are women who are viewed as fundamentally subservient and obedient and also uniquely capable of tremendous acts of violence. And so, this is not going to be a story where the society of the arc is fixed. That's not where I'm going to take it. That's not... Because I don't like the fantasy of one person can change everything and completely overturn all of the systems that exist just singularly on their own. Hello, Rav, yes. But what will happen by the end is our character will get her memories back, most of them. The squad, which turns out after she got fired from Massilis, she joined the central government and became a commander there, working with a mass-produced squad. She's going to end up getting in contact with her squad again, and eventually leaving the Ark entirely and becoming a heretic out in the wastelands, who is distinctly not overtly hostile towards humanity, but who has to keep her distance out of necessity, and it'd be interesting. I have ideas. Is this the girls with guns who show you their butts game? Yes, it is. Again, I am under no illusions as to what Nikke is. It is a game that markets itself on horny, that has a very specific audience, but which, like all genuinely successful and long-lasting gacha games, has truly excellent character writing and could be peak fiction if it had even a drop of feminism. So that's the idea that I have, right? And I think it's going to be an interesting way to look at the world of Nikke through the lens of a woman through the lens of a transgender woman specifically, and through the deeply unexamined but incredibly transmisogynized lens of what a Nikke is, right? Because that's kind of the thing, right? Textually, in the game, the majority of people view Nikkes as objects, as tools, as weapons to be used. They are not viewed as people, they are viewed as possessions, as obedient servants. And at the same time, by society, are viewed as dangerous, as threatening, as something you wouldn't want your kids around. It's... Nikkes are a useful tool that we need as society and that should obey us, and if at any point they ever gain any ability to say no, suddenly they're a threat. And that is an actual thing that happens in the game. Macilis's Ace Squad, Mattis Squad, who've spent so long building this reputation as heroes, right? And are well loved as far as a Nikke squad goes by the people of the Ark. At one point, they get corrupted. And this is one of the few cases where corruption is outright cured in the story. They are saved from their corruption through the administration of VODs, which is a fancy plot MacGuffin that comes from the protagonist's blood. And also at one point, different bodily fluid. That happens at one point in the story. It does. That part of the story is, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't listen to me. At one point, a syringe is used to extract a certain fluid. In this case, we don't need to talk about the color of the fluid, okay? They considered using blood, this group, in this case. So with Mattis Squad, it was blood. It was VODs made from blood that cured them of their corruption. And the point that I'm bringing up with that is that after they were, the way VODs cures you of corruption is by destroying your nymph. It stops functioning. And so suddenly, Mattis Squad is, yes, cured of their corruption, but no longer obligated by programming to obey their commander. No longer obligated by programming not to cause harm to humans. And even though the members of Mattis Squad are very clear that they want nothing more than to continue fighting for humanity, that they want to continue protecting the people that they've come to care about, public opinion turns against them almost immediately as soon as it comes out that they are now Nikke who can make their own choices. So, yeah. Good times, right? The Nikke are transmisogynized as hell. What if I played with some rocks? I want to play with some rocks. I have a jar of rocks. But there's a point in some of the more recent story where Vapeus has become a very plot-relevant thing because it can cure Nikes of corruption, and because it can render heretics killable, because many heretics are functionally immortal. But there's a point where there's a group that is trying to make a new Rapture Queen. Alright? They're trying to make a second Rapture Queen. And to do so, they realize that Vapeus has many unique properties more than just destroying the nymph. And so they kidnap the commander. And this group in particular are Nikes. And one thing that happens when you get converted into a Nikke is that a lot of your memories go kaput, and a lot of your knowledge gets replaced with basic military training. And you wake up, and one of them is like, we're trying to create a Rapture Queen. We feel like we should be using Vapeus to do it. I read in a book that there's a specific way one can make life, and so we got Vapeus that way. We used a syringe to do it. Huh? That's admittedly one of the points where Nikke kind of lost me a little bit. That's one of the points where I was like, huh? Why'd you have to do that? Why'd you have to do that? Why was that a thing that you wrote into the story? You could have just had it use blood like any of the other times that Vapeus is used. It's not even really played in a horny way. It's not really played in any kind of way. It's just played as a thing that happened. No, again, the Vapeus is what gives autonomy back, is what it does. As my curiosity demands more details of the how, my sanity says absolutely not. They just used a syringe to extract some Vapeus. And again, every other time they've done it, it was with blood. This is the only time Vapeus has been extracted with the different fluid. This is the only time that has ever happened. I don't know why they did it. Why'd they do it? Anyway, it worked. It did work, turns out. They do successfully make a new Rapture Queen. Turns out the Rapture Queen is pretty nice, though. The new Rapture Queen's pretty nice. She just wants a hug. This is how your character gets a daughter. Like, actually. I'll dink my oiter. So the new Rapture Queen is born, and she's like, you're my parent. She is admittedly, like, once we get past that scene, you've been obsessed with my roleplays recently? Well, that's very kind of you. Hi, Tasha. Welcome in. Yeah, no, it is, like, it's a whole deal, right? Where you go through that scene and you're like, okay, sure, that happened. A rescue operation was launched to recover me, and now I'm fighting for my life without pants, I guess. And then a few chapters later, it's like, hey, it worked. A new Rapture Queen was born. We're all gonna die. She's gonna kill us all. And you do think she's gonna kill you all. But then it turns out she's not trying to kill you all. She is genuinely a child and does not understand most things and does not have many ways of interacting with the world that aren't catastrophically destructive, but in fact she really does just want you to hug her and say it's gonna be okay. And so then you do that, and now she's like, you are my dad. Because again, Nikke is a game that assumes you're a man. You can't be a quirked up T-girl. And then, yeah, you know, you end up saying like, well, sweetie, you're great. I'm happy to have you. I can't take you back to the Ark with me because everyone will try to kill you immediately because you're a Rapture Queen, and that's really dangerous. So you're gonna go stay with those villains who kidnapped me before. They'll raise you right. And they do. They agree to it, and they do. Like, this is not what we had planned when we were gonna make a Rapture Queen, but sure. Sure, we'll babysit your daughter. We're cool with you now. We still kind of hate most of the rest of humanity, but you're a part of humanity, so I guess we'll be chill. And we'll stop our whole revenge plan and our nonsense for now, at least. We have infinite time, so maybe we'll try it again eventually, but for now, we'll raise this child. I promise you, there are parts of Nikke that are so good, that are genuinely incredible character writing and like peak fiction. Like, I've talked about it a lot before, but Mudfish and Indestructible Sphere, which are two of the side stories featuring some of my favorite characters, they made me cry. Both Mudfish and Indestructible Sphere made me cry real ass tears. But they don't even let you check up on her as a recurring character. They do. Don't worry. They do, in fact, because she's incredibly plot relevant. Well, I mean, at the current point in the story, the actual straight-up original Rapture Queen has descended from where she was hanging out in space. And she's here to kill everyone. And you were physically incapable of doing any meaningful damage whatsoever to the newborn Rapture Queen, so the OG is, yeah, so, essentially, your daughter is now kind of the only possible hope humanity has of not dying completely. So, yeah, no, she's very plot relevant. And yeah, she was made from the headless corpse of a Nikkei, the mysterious fluid extracted, and a bunch of dark matter. Did you hear a can? I do not have a can. There might have been something that sounded like a can. Does that mean you're gonna die as part of her origin story? No, because you are the anime protagonist who had your parent die as part of your origin story. So here's a fun fact about the story is you never knew your mom because she got converted into a Nikkei not long after you were born. Here's another fun fact. When you became a commander, one of the Nikkeis that was under your command was your mom. Neither of you remembered or recognized each other, and then she died. What kind of ASMR is this? This is me doing random ASMR triggers while I yap about gacha lore. Are Nikkeis like mandatory conscription? Sort of. So, I'm gonna sponge the mic a little bit. So, lore-wise, as a woman in the setting of Nikkei, you are not automatically guaranteed to be made into a Nikkei. As I mentioned, the CEO of Misilis, Xun, is a woman. Her lead researcher, who is also her sister, Jin, is also a woman. The way they get you in Nikkei is that there are plenty of people in the Ark who are not especially well off, especially those who live in the Outer Rim. And so what they'll do is they say, well, if you get converted, then your family gets regular payments. So there's the first thing that they'll do is preying on the poor, yes. And the other, and here's where it gets sort of mandatory, is not that you're guaranteed to be converted, but if you are a woman under the age of 25 who is dying, you're not dead yet, they can't raise a corpse, but if you are dying and can't be saved, or can't be saved in a way that you could afford, they will convert you. No questions asked, no consent, no nothing. If you are dying and you are of the age where you can be converted, you will be. So yeah. Well, that's kind of the thing with Nikkei, is it does have some political commentary to it, you know? It just never touches on the feminist side of things. But it does have some things to say about the military-industrial complex, right? It does have some evil-ass corporations. Mm-hmm. Exactly, Dahlia. If a woman were to become a commander in the world of Nikke, for example, anytime she was on field deployment, she would essentially be expected to keep an injector of nymph on her at all times, so that if she's ever shot and can't be patched up, they just jab her with nymph. Preserve the brain until they can return the body. Probably part of why you don't see many commanders that are women in this game. Yeah. It's called nymph spelled with an I, you see. So, what do we all think of the new mic now that we've had a couple hours with it? Just playing with various ASMR triggers. New mic good? Hell yeah. Good mic, horrifying lore. Yup. Yeah, Nikke is... It's so many things. It has a really good rhythm game, fun fact. The music I've been playing for my starting soon screen has been from Nikke lately. Lately it's been Nikke. We made it through the Funger music at the ends of the Resident Evil streams. So I've been doing Nikke music lately. And there's a whole ass rhythm game in there that they just kind of tacked on. But yeah, my basic reasoning for why I want to make Nikke fanfic is because I want to look at the setting from a trans feminist perspective. Because I think an interesting story could be told in this incredibly sexist and patriarchal world from the perspective of a woman in it. Oh, Rav he's sleeping on him bag right now. He's literally asleep on him bag. Must I go and wake him? Must I go take him? I will grab the boy. Rav, my love. Hi, bud. You're going to be taken now, okay? Is that alright? Okay. I have an obligation to do this, sir. Just trying to lead me out of the room for living room snuggle time. But sir, it's not lie on floor time right now. It's live stream time. Did you know that? Here's a fun fact for you, by the way. Little fun fact for you. So, some of you might recall I was talking about wanting to voice act in a fairly recent stream. I was directed to Uma Musume Pretty Dub, which is one of 2 Uma fan dubbing projects that does exist. And I have not been cast in any role as of yet. However, I have auditioned for 2 of them thus far. I'm considering, if these don't work out, potentially auditioning for the role of one of the trainers or something. But I did get a callback. I have been chosen for the 2nd round of TM Opera O auditions. So sometime within the next few days I'll be recording a take of another TM Opera O scene, adjusting based on the notes I was given. I will say I received fewer notes than some of the other people who did it. They said what they had for me was a nitpick. It's always a good sign when someone says they're nitpicking. It means they're struggling to come up with something bad to say. I would love to be Oppie. I really would. Oppie's so fun. Significantly higher energy than your usual fare? Well, that's just because I'm usually doing ASMR. And if you're doing ASMR too high energy, it's gonna be a little bit much, won't it? But yeah. The other role that I auditioned for, so you're aware, was Air Shakur. And callbacks for that role haven't been announced yet, so don't know how that went, but we love Air Shakur in this house. The funny thing, though, the sort of funny thing, is that I did get reached out to by someone from Pretty Dub. And we've arranged a meeting, not having anything to do with casting. And to be clear, if you see it, because I know you watch my streams sometimes, I don't want my position as Flawless Faye, as the celebrity, or the help that I'm giving to color or change the selection process in any way. But I have been asked to help teach some of the folks who work on Pretty Dub how to do various streaming things and how to set up VR work like I did for my ASMR. So, use your clout for personal gain? I would never. If I get a voice role, I want it to be on the merits of my work on that voice role. I mean, I always get kind of grumpy. Like, I don't know if this is a thing for anyone else, but like Chris Pratt as Mario, for example. It's like, he's not even a voice actor, you know? He just got chosen as Mario because he's a recognizable name to broad film audiences. And so I want roles in voice acting to be given based on the merits of the actual voice acting. And that includes me, right? Just because I'm good at ASMR and I have a pretty nice voice, if you ask me, doesn't necessarily it doesn't necessarily mean that like I'm a good fit for every role, right? If I am to become the Overlord, then I ought to become the overlord based on my own abilities, and not on my reputation. If I truly am the overlord, then my abilities will shine through brightly, regardless of my origins. Well, that's how the Centurial Overlord Tiamat Pro works. The one suggestion they had for me, was to attempt to raise my vocal register just a hair, if I can. Which is fair. You know, I'm something of a deeper voiced lady. So I'll be giving it a go, but I think I would make quite a solid oppie. And I should hope they agree. Goomba TF? That's like the when was the original Mario movie made? Like the 80s? 80s or 90s? They did Goomba TF? They turned someone into a Goomba? What the hell? What do you mean? Oh boy. Should I force Goomba you? Is that what you want? Would that make the people happy? I've never seen any Mario movie because I've never been. No, Yoshi. Oh my god. That's horrible. That's horrible. I love that. See, here's what I think. I think that video game movies are generally not super good. I think there are fundamental differences in the type of storytelling you can do in a video game and what you can do on film. And I think it's often handled poorly, so I don't watch a ton of video game movies. I think if you're gonna do one, in order to adapt a video game to a movie, you have to make changes. You have to make changes because a game fundamentally involves you, the player, and the way that story can be told changes because of that, right? I will say one exception to my I don't watch video game movies thing is that I have watched every single live action Resident Evil movie, and those movies do fuck quite severely. The the Resident Evil movies are they faithful to the video games? No. Should they be? Honestly, no. When I show up to a Resident Evil movie, I am here for mindless, over-the-top zombie action, and that's exactly what I get. Mila Jovovich is a phenomenal action actress. She's such a good action hero. And she does amazing work in the Resi movies. I do admit it, I want to watch Iron Lung. I want to watch Iron Lung. I've watched. I think it kind of works for Resident Evil, especially because the story of Resident Evil is already kind of, it's vaguely coherent some of the time, but there's a lot of it that is just like, yeah, Lady Dimitrescu, she's a dragon now. She's just a dragon now. Why? Reference to old weird vampire lore? We're not gonna explain why she can turn into a fungus dragon. She just can. Faye wants Miss Jovovich to slow-mo kick her. I do, yeah. But like and I'm not saying that as a slight to the games, right? I think that's a good thing. I think it's good that they have fun and don't always take themselves completely seriously. And so I think making it mindless action is maybe the best possible way they could have adapted that for the movies, right? It's again like, you're not really here for a super coherent story, are you? No, you're here to watch Mila Jovovich load a sawed-off shotgun with custom shells that she made from coins and shoot a giant axe-wielding zombie with it after doing a sick-ass backflip over its head. That's what you're here for. It's like, that is what I'm here for, yeah. Thank you very much. You didn't come to see this movie because you wanted a coherent plot. You wanted to see Nemesis say, "Stars," and then get in a sick-ass action fight with Mila Jovovich. That's what you were here for, and you were right to do it. But I gotta see Iron Lung. Because I want to be honest, the original game Iron Lung is okay, right? Is okay. I like the part where Wesker throws his glasses. I also like that part, yeah. It's like Iron Lung as a video game was kind of like, okay, this is alright. It's a sort of interesting world, but it's just like a 30-minute thing, you know, and it's over. But it got into Markiplier's head. It got deeply into that man's head. And I've seen In Space with Markiplier. I've seen a heist with Markiplier. I genuinely trust that man as a filmmaker. Especially when it's something that he's genuinely really, really invested in. And so I want to see what he does with it. Add on to that the fact that I have in fact seen Project Hail Mary twice, and I know that there's a huge amount of people who are obsessed with crossing those two things together. I want to see why we have two men in a box There's a man in a box with a little rock guy learning to hope, and then there's another man in a box alone going through the horrors, and I do think it's a beautiful thing that we got two really big, beautiful There's a Man in a Box movies this year. Hi Merm, by the by, I did see you. So yeah, I gotta see Iron Lung. I gotta do it. Did you not know? Did you not know? Yeah, everyone's shipping Iron Lung, Markiplier, and Ryan Gosling Project Hail Mary. They're calling the ship Bloody Mary. Yeah, they're calling the ship Bloody Mary. It's a real thing. Yeah, it's good. I do also think it's really, really funny that Markiplier is aware of how many people ship him with Ryan Gosling now, and has mentioned it a few times. So, yeah. I'm gonna get some friends together and we're gonna do an Iron Lung watch party at some point. I mean, they are both hot. Yeah, yeah. Back before the trauma really happened and I got way too in deep on my bisexual denial, I had a thing for Markiplier's voice. I did. I was very attracted to that voice. These days, with the trauma, again, I'm only really attracted to fictional men or men that I'm 100% certain that I will never meet under any circumstance. I still got his voice is pretty hot. His voice is pretty hot. He's a pretty good looking guy, all things considered. It's, how you say, a succulent. And Ryan Gosling is, yeah, he's alright. I need to show you something, right? Come on, come on, come on, give me a good image. There it is, there it is. Here we go. We're gonna wrap up stream in like just a second. I'll get to work on my proper recording, but it's right here. That's Ryan Gosling at his best. That's Ryan Gosling at his best, baby. He starts the movie so scrongly. He starts out so scrongly. He's so fucked up. You know. And end of the movie, he's looking like famous actor Ryan Gosling, but start of the movie, he's the gruncher. He's the scrongler. Yeah, I saw a video not long after I saw the movie where it was interviews with Ryan Gosling. And the video was titled Ryan Gosling Does Not Want to Go to Space. And it was a compilation of various interviews of people asking like if he could go to space, would he? It's what celebrities would you want to go to space with? And he's like constantly saying like, I don't wanna. I'd be bad at it.
I'd be horrible at it. Don't send me to space. I don't want to go. I like it here. I enjoyed playing a guy in space in a movie. I don't want to go there. Don't send me. Do I have to go? It's like, okay. You know what? You know what? You were the perfect man to play to play Rylan Grace. Yeah. um and it's like, okay, yeah, no, honestly, he talked about how he's like, I would be bad at space. I did good in Project Hail Mary because I'm good at playing someone who's bad at space, because I would be bad at space. That's the thing he said a lot. Is that he'd be bad at space. Yeah, you probably would, Ryan. You probably would. I'm glad you understand this. Mm-hmm. Alright. I'm gonna start up next stream. I'm not gonna have changed the background. Stream's gonna start up and it's just gonna be, oh, welcome to Oh, Ryan? Mr. Gosling? Alright. Let's all go ahead and raid out. Let's find someone to visit, shall we? Let's find someone to visit. Oh wow. We could go from ASMR stream to ASMR stream. We have some live ASMR with CatCam. A fellow 3DO enjoyer, in fact. I think that's exactly what we're gonna do. I think that's exactly what's happening. I hope you enjoyed my experiments with the new mic. Next stream we'll be back at it with the roleplay requests as usual. So it should be pretty fun. Next Friday we're gonna do that. And yeah. Let's head out in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.